My topic is brand identity in detail explain, and let's go to the topic and let's go to the start. Brand identity refers to the visual and textual elements that communicate the essence of a company, product, or service to consumers. These elements may include a logo, color palette, typography, imagery, messaging, and tone of voice. The goal of brand identity is to create a recognizable and differentiated presence in the market that resonates with consumers and builds loyalty and trust over time. A strong brand identity helps to establish a company's reputation and can influence consumer behavior and purchasing decisions. A brand identity should be consistent across all forms of communication and marketing efforts, including advertisements, packaging, social media, and website design. It should also reflect the company's values, mission, and unique selling proposition. Creating a successful brand identity requires a deep understanding of the target audience and market trends, as well as careful research and planning. It involves developing a strategic approach that takes into consideration the company's vision, goals, and branding objectives. A strong brand identity helps to differentiate a company from its competitors and establishes a sense of trust and reliability with consumers. In today's digitally driven world, more and more companies are investing in their brand identity to stand out and connect with customers. A well-executed brand identity can lead to increased brand awareness, customer loyalty, and ultimately, long-term success for the business. Brand identity is the visible elements of a brand, such as color, design, and logo, that identify and distinguish the brand in consumers' minds. Brand identity is distinct from brand image. The former corresponds to the intent behind the branding and the way a company does the following, all to cultivate a certain image in consumers' minds. Uses its name, designs its logo, uses colors, shapes, and other visual elements in its products and promotions, crafts the language in its advertisements, trains employees to interact with customers. Brand image is the actual result of these efforts, successful or unsuccessful. Brand identity is the visible elements of a brand, such as color, design, and logo that identify and distinguish the brand in consumers' minds. Consistent marketing and messaging lead to consistent brand identity and, therefore, consistent sales. Building a positive brand image can bring in consistent sales and make product rollouts more successful. Building a positive, cohesive brand image requires analyzing the company and its market, and determining the company's goals, customers, and message. Social media is a powerful driver of brand awareness. Brand identity consists of the visible elements of a brand, such as logo, brand name and color, that represent and distinguish the brand in consumers' minds. Some were resistant to changing the ads because they were thought to be integral to our brand identity. Certain product ranges would be issued under the new company name and would be adapted to give an appropriate brand identity. Establishing brand identity involves implying that this quite ordinary product is somehow different and better than anything else on the market. They have a brand identity but no products to sell. If the main objective of the website is to build brand identity, focus on graphics rather than text. The use of corporate-style language is deliberate and is an aspect of the collective's creation of a strong brand identity. Brand identity is the collection of all elements that a company creates to portray the right image to its consumer. Brand identity is different from brand image and branding, even though these terms are sometimes treated as interchangeable. The term branding refers to the marketing practice of actively shaping a distinctive brand. Brand is the perception of the company in the eyes of the world. Let's say you are a middle school student. As an awkward pre-adolescent, you want to be perceived as cool and get invited to sit at the best table in the cafeteria. But you can't just force other people to have that image of you. In order to develop this brand, you need to do some work. So you make sure you watch the right YouTube channels so you always know the latest meme. Maybe you start working on your free throw. And cultivating on an impression of Mr. Archibald, your science teacher. These actions are the work you're putting towards develop your desired image, they're your branding. Finally, you need to make sure you look the part. You save up your money to buy the new Adidas shoes everyone covets. You get a new haircut. You try out for, and join, the basketball team. Those tangible elements, the shoes, the haircut, the team membership, that's brand identity. Your brand identity is what makes you instantly recognizable to your customers. Your audience will associate your brand identity with your product or service, and that identity is what forges the connection between you and your customers, builds customer loyalty, and determines how your customers will perceive your brand. Brand identity is more than just your brand's logo or product. It's the general impression you leave on consumers, and the recognizable brand attributes that make you distinguishable from competitors. Put simply, a brand's identity is its personality. It's based on every experience and interaction with your brand, those you control and those you don't. Your brand identity is the defining emotional bond between you and your consumers. And that bond is key when purchase decisions are made. Brand identity in many ways is the visual, symbol or illustration, aspect of a brand. Think of the Nike swoosh or Apple's Apple. Those are two instances where the identity of a brand is connected with a symbol or visual aspect. Building brand identity must have a strong visual image to link the brand. A brand identity is compiled of various branding elements. When you put them together, the identity in many ways is the mascot of your brand. It is how a company expresses and describes itself from the images on its marketing materials, the colors that represent the brand, and how a company markets itself on social media. A strong brand identity strengthens a company's popularity and presence in a competitive market. Beyond saving the company money on promotion, a successful brand can be one of the company's most valuable assets. Brand value is intangible, making it difficult to quantify. Still, common approaches take into account the cost it would take to build a similar brand, the cost of royalties to use the brand name, and the cash flow of comparative unbranded businesses. Analyze the company and the market. A complete SWOT analysis that includes the entire firm, a look at the company's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, is a proven way to help managers understand their situation to determine better their goals and the steps required to achieve them. Determine key business goals. The brand identity should help fulfill these goals. For example, if an automaker is pursuing a niche luxury market, its ads should be crafted to appeal to that market. They should appear on channels and sites where potential customers are likely to see them. Identify its customers. Conducting surveys, convening focus groups, and holding one-on-one interviews can help a company identify its consumer group. Determine the personality and message it wants to communicate. A company needs to create a consistent perception rather than trying to combine every conceivable positive trait: utility, affordability, quality, nostalgia, modernity, luxury, flash, taste, and class. All brand elements, including copy, imagery, cultural allusions, and color schemes, should align and deliver a coherent message. Building a brand identity is a multidisciplinary strategic effort, and every element needs to support the overall message and business goals. A brand identity is a set of tools or elements used by a company to create a brand image. A brand image is a customer's perception of the brand consisting of various associations related to it and memories about interacting with it. A brand identity and its elements stem from a company's mission, brand value proposition, long-term goals, competitive position on the market, and relevance to the values and interests of the target audience. These factors have a foundational nature and, in the branding process, describe what a company wants to communicate. Meanwhile, a brand identity describes how these foundational elements are communicated. A brand name, a tagline or a slogan, colors and graphic styles, a logo and a wordmark and their variations, a voice and a tone, a style and a typeface. These elements can be grouped differently, and there are a lot of opinions as to which specific brand elements should be included in this list and in which order they should be presented. These differences are usually explained by the context in which a brand identity is being discussed and the perspective of a particular expert. For example, a designer who is developing a brand identity for an existing company would omit a brand name and a tagline from his creative process and would put more emphasis on its visual part. In contrast to that, a fuller span of brand identity elements is usually involved during the process of creating a new brand, rather than rebranding an existing product or company. The first and the most important element that links your brand to associations and memories stored in the minds of your audience is its name. Using language as a means of communication and processing information is an intrinsic trait of all human beings that is not typical for other species. Particular words and names allow us to access a wide variety of meanings, emotions and associations related to objects, events and people. From the marketing and branding perspective, a brand name is a word or a phrase that personifies all information and knowledge your target customer has about your company and its products. On the other hand, for those who don't know about your brand, its name gives the cues necessary for customers to relate it to their needs or a specific industry and to be able to recognize it in the future. Functionally, a brand name may serve many different purposes which determine a set of requirements that should be considered when naming a company or a product. The most common features of a good brand name are easily pronounced and memorable, relevant to a specific industry or a need of the brand's target audience, relates to customer expectations and evokes strong positive associations. It is not always easy to follow all of these and other requirements suggested by experts in various studies done in the field. As mentioned earlier, brand identity elements are determined by foundational factors such as a mission, value proposition, competition and target audience. No two industries are alike, and it is important to set priorities for what is important in a specific case. A great example that illustrates how these functional requirements work in a specific industry and how companies prioritize them in their brand names would be a highly competitive B2B market of ID badging services. Some names of the top companies who provide ID badge printing and related services include Instant Card, Express ID, Quick Card and Express Badging. It is not hard to notice how, besides being easily pronounceable and memorable, all of these names relate to the industry, ID, card, badging, and emphasize one important competitive characteristic determined by customers' expectations of fast turnaround, instant, express, quick, express. Although brand identity is a tool that conveys a message about what a company actually delivers to its customers, it is no less important to help customers make their buying decision and to ensure their commitment. Many companies that were unable to communicate the value of their products and services to the end consumers have failed in the past to their competition. Ability to communicate a distinct and recognizable image through various elements of brand identity and deliver this message to end consumers becomes more vital nowadays when buyers are overloaded with information and are unable to hold their attention on one subject for extended periods of time. Ideally, a brand identity should have the ability to give a quick presentation of a company or a product to prospective customers, or, in other words, serve as an analog of the elevator pitch that explains what a company offers, how it is different from what is already out there in the market, and why customers should try or continue buying this product or service. The common rule is that the clearer and easier to understand this messaging is, the higher chance of success it will have on forming a positive and desirable brand image in customers' perception. The flip side to this is that brand identity and the messaging it is delivered through is not the end-all be-all to define a brand's success. Overpromising or not being fully congruent with what you actually have to offer to your customers may be even worse than failing to communicate it. In the best-case scenario, a brand identity that is disconnected from the actual positioning of the brand gets ignored by the audience. In the worst, it undermines trust and damages the reputation. As the old saying goes, your actions speak so loudly, I cannot hear what you're saying. Brand identity stems from an organization, i.e., an organization is responsible for creating a distinguished product with unique characteristics. It is how an organization seeks to identify itself. It represents how an organization wants to be perceived in the market. An organization communicates its identity to the consumers through its branding and marketing strategies. A brand is unique due to its identity. Brand identity includes following elements: brand vision, brand culture, positioning, personality, relationships, and presentations. Brand identity is a bundle of mental and functional associations with a brand. Associations are not reasons to buy but provide familiarity and differentiation that's not replicable. Getting it. These associations can include signature tune, for example, Britannia Ting Ting Ta Ting, trademark colors, for example, blue color with Pepsi, logo, for example, Nike, tagline, for example, Apple's tagline is Think Different, etc. Brand identity is the total proposal/promise that an organization makes to consumers. The brand can be perceived as a product, a personality, a set of values, and a position it occupies in consumers' minds. Brand identity is all that an organization wants the brand to be considered as. It is a feature linked with a specific company, product, service or individual. It is a way of externally expressing a brand to the world. Brand identity is the noticeable elements of a brand, for instance, trademark color, logo, name, symbol, that identify and differentiates a brand in target audience mind. It is a crucial means to grow your company's brand. Brand identity is the aggregation of what all you, i.e. an organization, do. It is an organization's mission, personality, promise to the consumers and competitive advantages. It includes the thinking, feelings and expectations of the target market/consumers. It is a means of identifying and distinguishing an organization from another. An organization having unique brand identity have improved brand awareness, motivated team of employees who feel proud working in a well-branded organization, active buyers, and corporate style. Brand identity leads to brand loyalty, brand preference, high credibility, good prices and good financial returns. It helps the organization to express to the customers and the target market the kind of organization it is. It assures the customers again that you are who you say you are. It establishes an immediate connection between the organization and consumers. Brand identity should be sustainable. It is crucial so that the consumers instantly correlate with your product/service. Brand identity should be futuristic, i.e., it should reveal the associations aspired for the brand. It should reflect the durable qualities of a brand. Brand identity is a basic means of consumer recognition and represents the brand's distinction from its competitors. Your brand identity is an integral part of your company. It's how the public views your organization and relates to your business. Crafting a brand identity that promotes your values and mission can help you establish a positive and authentic foothold in the marketplace. Learn what a brand identity is, understand the benefits of defining your brand identity and review the steps to take to define your brand identity. A brand identity is a combination of tangible and intangible factors that work together to create your business's personality. Common elements of a brand identity include your company's logo, your company's design elements, your company's voice and vocabulary, your company's values, your company's mission, the customer's perception of the company. Many companies use branding, or the practice of clearly and consistently defining their company's values and goals, to create a brand identity. However, brand identity is also based on customer perception. You have control of the branding you produce, but the public takes that branding and establish their perception of your identity. Provide a face. A clear brand identity gives the public a visual image they can use as the face of the company, making your business memorable. Build credibility. A consistent, long-term brand identity helps build your credibility in the marketplace as a dependable and trustworthy company. Offer a template with a thorough brand identity. All of your marketing and advertising choices have a consistent template that ensures the customer knows what they're looking at belongs to your company. Support your mission. Ideally, every choice you make about your brand identity refers back to your company's mission and values. This consistently aligns your branding with your goals. Generate new customers with regular exposure. Potential customers will come to trust your company and engage with the brand, hopefully resulting in a purchase. Maintain past customers. A clear brand identity helps current and past customers remain connected to your company's values and ideals and hopefully encourages them to make additional purchases. Makes you memorable. A clear and specific brand identity makes your company memorable. Potential customers will remember not just the look of your brand, but how your brand made them feel. Builds trust. Consumers are naturally more trusting of a company with a solid and cohesive brand identity. When all of your materials match and maintain a consistent voice, it demonstrates your professionalism. Supports demographics. Your brand identity automatically aligns with your target demographic, meaning your messaging will effectively speak to those most interested in purchasing your product or service. Promotes product launches. Launching a new product takes much less groundwork with a solid brand identity. Past customers and potential customers will already have an awareness of your brand and trust that your new product is functional and valuable. Establish a brand strategy and goals. Before you start choosing fonts and colors for your website and social media pages, you need to create an overall brand strategy and set clear goals for your brand identity. Consider what you hope to achieve by establishing a clear brand identity, like engaging with new customers or improving relationships with existing customers. Create a thorough strategy that takes into consideration the branding steps you'll take to reach your goals. Know your values and mission. Go back to your company's values and mission to help you determine how you want the public to view your company. Aligning every branding decision you make with your values can help ensure that your brand identity truly reflects the long-term goals of the company. Assess your current brand identity. Understand what your current brand identity is. Poll internal and external stakeholders, like employees and current customers, to get a sense of how they view the company. If possible, reach out to potential customers in your target demographic who have not made a purchase from your company to see how they perceive you and what would entice them to become paying customers. Use this information to help establish the foundation of your new brand identity. Understand your audience. Your brand identity needs to be a balance of two identities: the brand you want to share with the world and the brand that the world wants to interact with. Know exactly what your customers want from your brand by creating thorough customer personas that represent your target demographics. Knowing your customers' likes and dislikes and what they look for in a company will help you establish a brand identity that they'll want to engage with. Know your competition. Perform a competitive analysis to see what other companies in your sector are doing to engage with their customers and promote their brands. See what's working and what's not working for those companies to help inform your own branding and design choices. Outline your identity. Take all the information and ideas you've gathered and streamline them into a brand identity brief. Include descriptions of the goals of the brand identity, the overall strategy, key elements of the brand identity, elements to avoid, the target demographic, primary voice indicators. This document will help you build a thorough and effective brand identity and style document to share with all internal stakeholders. Define your voice. Establish some clear parameters for the voice of your brand. You want all communication, from social media to press releases, to have the same tone and use a similar vocabulary. Consider how you want your customers to feel when they interact with your brand. Tone choices like warmth, knowledge, endearment and humor can help everyone who creates content for your brand at every level stay consistent with the brand identity. Consider the visual elements. The visual elements of your branding are key for your customers. They help the public recognize your brand and have an image to associate the brand's personality and feeling with. Consider creating or updating these visual elements: your logo, company colors, typography, document formatting, photography, graphics, infographics, videos, interactive elements, web design. All of these brand elements should share a similar feel and design for brand cohesion. If your company or industry has other frequently used physical documents or digital elements, add those to the list of items to consider during the design phase of your brand identity process. Design the elements. Once you've established the list of collateral you need to create, assign a team to actually design all the elements. If you have in-house graphic designers, you can use them for the task. Otherwise, you may consider hiring an outside firm to handle the design of your logo and other branded elements for professionalism and cohesion. Once you've got mock-ups for your visual elements, do some testing with internal and external stakeholders to see how they receive and respond to the design choices. Make adjustments as needed. Create your brand style guide. Once you've approved your final visual design elements, write a thorough guide to your brand identity. More than likely, every employee in the company will play a part in maintaining the company's brand identity, whether they're monitoring and updating your social media profiles or answering customer questions over the phone. Ensure everyone on the team knows the voice of the brand and projects the company's values and mission through their work choices and communication by providing them with a useful, detailed document. Implement your brand identity. The final step is implementing your new brand identity. Update all of your physical and digital brandings to reflect your new visual branding elements. Ensure the language used on your website and social media platforms reflects the voice of your brand. Offer training to new employees on the brand identity to make sure they understand it and reflect it in their internal and external communications. Thank you for watching the video and subscribe the channel.